the times you've been there before? Yes.
Well, I guess my fondest memory of Atlantic City is performing with the Doors. They invited me to sing with them, the remaining members of the Doors anyway. They were putting on a special for MTV, I think it was. So, pretty amazing being able to sing, Touch Me. I think I sung one other song with them. And it was a crazy night. Not only was I performing with them, but there was a blackout that came over that night, of all things, and of course, Ray Manzarek said, it was Jim kind of just putting his touch on the evening, but yeah, right in the middle of performing the whole casino, I think it was over at Trump Tower, the whole casino went black. It was a tremendous storm. Not as tremendous as I'm sure the storm that just passed y'all, but
right.
That was my fondest memory of Atlantic City was that night anyway.
So now when you come back this time, it's going to be New Year's Eve, so do you guys have anything, special planned for the end of the year? Or?
Well, James has been doing a little bit of immersive theater. We always put on a show that's above a traditional or typical rock show. So, that's really what we have in store for Atlantic City is to go in there and just do, a great theatrical performance with dancers and specialty acts and, under difficult circumstances. I haven't seen Atlantic, but I'm assuming that it's not quite in perfect shape yet. It's the storm just hit there. Maybe you can tell me what's it look like there.
Well, actually, Atlantic City, the main part of Atlantic City wasn't really damaged. There was a little bit of damage to the boardwalk, but it's a portion of the boardwalk that is sort of beyond where most people go. And the casinos didn't really suffer any damage. So I think some houses and some individual buildings had some damage, but the part along the boardwalk, where people go, that's actually in pretty good shape. So.
Wow. It was very strange because the night that the storm hit, of course I was watching the news and they had a live broadcast from Atlantic City on the boardwalk, or it was a street right in front of the casinos, and the woman was standing almost up to her waist in water, and that was the place where we were going to be playing for New Year's.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It was, I guess, unbelievable is the only way to really describe watching it and seeing this woman up to her waist in water, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if that show's going to happen.
Yeah, I think there was so much. There's a little bit of a sort of not exactly misreporting, but I think there was an image that kept getting shown of Atlantic City, which sort of seemed to indicate that the damage was worse there than it actually was. So it was sort of unfortunate because I think people got the wrong message that Atlantic City was sort of, shut down, and it really hasn't been, except for those couple days, right around the actual storm. So.
Yeah, my manager told me that the show was going to go on, and I almost kind of wondered if we shouldn't have maybe canceled, because it seemed like if it was going to go on, it was going to be going on limping. But he tells me that it's looking very well. That the attendance is looking very well, and it's a good place to play for groups. If people don't realize. Maybe people don't realize, it's a place where people go, come out and they spend money, for entertainment. They drink a lot and they gamble a lot, and they like to see shows out in Atlantic City. So, maybe the year will end with kind of a bang after all.
Okay, so I was just trying to ask you about the end of the year, the beginning of next year, whether you made any resolutions, anything to do with the band, or what's going to be happening next year with the band.
Well, okay. So I'm working on a new, I guess you'd call it a new play, or a theatrical performance. Jane's Addiction is going to be doing the music and the score for it, along with some other great musicians, and it's going to be immersive theater on another level. I'm actually taking the idea of going and seeing live music and hearing live music to another level. I'm going to really mix it in with theater. I'm not going to tell you everything, but only to tell you that next year we're going to be recording. The story's already been written, and a lot of the songs have already been written but not recorded. So that's what we'll do next year, and then we might just jump out and do a tour, a tour with one of the great classic alternative groups. We're in discussions with one of the great classic alternative groups to do like a 5-week tour just to have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
But the big news about us is that we're going to be doing. I would call it kind of an off-Broadway play, but I don't want to call it off-Broadway because it sounds small when I say that. It's not going to be small at all. It's going to be something that has never been performed, has never been done before. In that, it's going to be for between 3,000 to 5,000 people a performance, and it's going to be a play, but it's going to be mixed in with a rock band is going to be mixed in with actors and actresses.
And this is in New York?
Well, that's why I don't want to call it off-Broadway.
Okay.
In New York, we're not looking at New York because the way I want to build it, I actually need a building. I don't want to perform it in a theater. I want to build the entire environment.
Right.
So it probably won't be in New York at first.
So in terms of the band, you guys have sort of, been together, been apart, been back together. Do you look at these sort of as actually breaking up, or is it more of like a hiatus while you do other projects? Like, how do you sort of view Jane's Addiction? Is it sort of have this life of its own and you pick it up and leave it off here and there? Or?
To be honest with you, I look at Jane's as, I was very blessed to be able to perform with these guys. They are just amazing. I mean, I'm not saying it just because I'm in the group, but they are just amazing musicians. And, after going through, of course, the breakups, I don't really want to or plan on breaking up with them anymore. So this new idea, this new immersive theater idea, or this play, as I say, hopefully James is going to be recording it's going to be a full-length LP, and then I hope to have them performing, it'll be probably 5 nights a week. I hope to have them performing in the play.
Right.
So it's going to be something different for them, but to be honest with you, if you look at the horizon, or the landscape, I should say, of contemporary music, and especially rock music, it's really kind of boring.
Yeah.
The idea of just going and performing in theaters or amphitheaters, people are I think they're tired of it. I think people are tired of going to clubs. I think people are looking for something new, and of course, it's not that easy to come up with a new idea. If it was so easy, everybody would be doing it,
Right, yeah.
It's hard to pull off on many levels. It's hard to pull it off economically. It's hard to come up with a concept that's different, give you a new experience, and yet would be functional. So, this is what the ambition is for next year. Just like, in '91 when Lollapalooza first hit, and, now the culture, music culture is very used to festivals. I kind of call this generation of my last few generations of music listeners like festival. It's a festival generation. But I want to do something new now. I want to create another thing, another experience for people who love music and live entertainment, and that's what I'm shooting for.
So, where does it leave? This leave Lollapalooza? Will you still be involved with that next year? Or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a major shareholder of Lollapalooza and a third owner. So it's not like I'm not going to do Lollapalooza anymore. I mean, we Chicago, in that, you know, every year we get to build Grant Park into a beautiful music festival. I'm not saying I just don't like music festivals. I like music festivals. I'll always like music festivals,
right,
because there's so many cool people there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the music, but I almost think I like the people better. You know what I mean? I like socializing in that environment. I like socializing with people who love music.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it's not that I want to rub out or erase Lollapalooza. It's just I realize that it's over 20 years old now,
mm-hmm.
and everybody is used to, you know, the idea of doing a festival. People go and they all have a good time, but I wouldn't say that people are blown away when they go to festivals anymore. You know, I want to blow people away. I want people to go, you know, in the morning when they go to work or go to school, say, "Oh man, you have to go to see this." That's what I'm working on currently, and I think you're gonna love it when it's all ready. It should be ready. It should be ready, you know, in a year to a year and a half from now.
Right.
All systems should be go, and the door should be open for it.
I'm curious to hear, like, how the time apart from the band at various times. What has that meant for you creatively? Is that a good time for you to be apart, or is it, you know, how does it work?
Well, look, as I say, to start out with, I can't say enough about how Palooza. I'm reading some signs. Somebody just used the Palooza thing. You know, working with the guys musically is tremendous, and let's face it, you know, my best material, some of the best material, they're a part of. So when I perform, I couldn't think of anybody I'd rather perform with than James. And I've learned all this, you know, after the breakups and everything else.
Right, yeah.
You know, just telling my wife, you know, it's a Stones 50th. And I said to her, you know, it's strange, because we were talking about Stones, and we went and saw Aerosmith last night.
Right.
And my kids, and I brought my kids, and you know, we're just talking about careers and musicians. And I said, you know, Aerosmith is different than Jane's Addiction because they have a lot more radio hits, aside from being an older group. But they're a great group, but they have so many radio hits. Stones don't have, you know, especially from the 80s on, they don't have any radio hits. When Mick Jagger does his own thing, he really, you know, the attendance really shrinks. It's crazy that the same guy who could fill a stadium, you know, turns around and does his own thing, and he might play the House of Blues.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So it's a very strange thing about the music business and the perception of musicians. You know, I love the idea of continuing to record with James, and I love the idea of continuing to perform with them. However, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy about the idea of performing. My wife always gets on me about this. She says, you know, you are a tried and true rock star.
Uh-huh.
People would die to be rock stars. Everyone wants to be a rock star. Like Johnny Depp went out there and played with last night. And she says, you're the only rock star who doesn't want to be a rock star. Because you're weird. What is it? And I said, well, it's just that, you know, for me, I'm always trying to think of new ways to entertain people. And rock, as much as I love it, I always have felt that there's, the world evolves. I mean, dance music was really came into prominence last year. And, all these guys want to be rock stars. That's why they all want to play Lollapalooza, because they want to get in front of rock audiences, and we have them coming out onto the main stage now, this and that. But as far as James and performing with them, our music has always been very dramatic, and it's given me room to dream and envision and come up with things that you could do more than just perform songs staring at your sneakers. The old shoegazer attitude that a lot of the British bands adopted, where they would just kind of gaze at their shoes and play their chords. Now I feel that it is a performance. The great groups understood that, and I learned from the great groups from the 60s and 70s how what it was to perform and how important performance played a part in your career. And I also really loved where Pink Floyd before their big breakup, where they were when they did things like The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon, and they would perform and they would really give a show. So I love the idea of doing it with James because, as I say, that musicianship, they're incredible, and I just have to kind of hope that they continue to enjoy, I guess you would call it, my concepts. I think they do. When we last spoke, Dave was telling me that he felt a little fatigued doing it. We did last year. We went and toured small cities that we hadn't done in 20 years. Columbus, Ohio, Boise, Idaho, and places like that. And I had a great time. Not everybody really loved it. And of course, I have my wife with me. The other fellas, you can get pretty lonely if you're away from your family for 5 weeks. Dave doesn't, but the other guys are married. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, I'm really hoping that it happens, because he was saying that he's getting tired of just playing theaters one city to the next city. I like it because I like to see the cities. I've never really met a city I didn't like. I mean, some cities are a little tired in America, I must admit, but the people and there's always a chance to. I like to do antique shopping. I like to go, or I go looking for art in the different cities, and we're foodies at T&I. So I like traveling. The other guys, it's kind of hard. It's a little harder on them. So the idea that we would do this immersive theater, we would be in one place for at least 2 months at a time. They were all really interested in the idea. They were all excited about it. The other thing about it, too, is, for a band, because, again, I say, these days, given the current climate of the music industry, up on bands, people don't really think to go and see bands anymore. There's, of course, there's a few that are blessed or it's kind of like I always akin being in a band to, it's like the boxing game. There's only a few guys that make any money in the boxing game, and the rest of them get their heads punched in. And it's the same thing with the music industry. A few people making money, and everybody else is suffering, but they do it because they love it. I've got friends themselves in a van from place to place, and some of them looking for a place on a nightly basis. So given the situation, given the circumstances, I should say, where we are in life, we're actually very fortunate that we still have a career, and that we people would want to pay money to come and see us and listen to us and hear our next record. The guys I think that there's a mutual respect that has grown between us all. They've all come to understand that things could be worse. You could be a group really suffering and declining. Because the other thing about the music industry that a lot of people don't like to talk about, you hit them first when they're young, when everybody's young, and you're known for a song, and then most of the time, people, they just give up on you or they forget about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can be a musician and be driving yourself around in a van when you're in your 20s. And it doesn't get not so cute when you're in your 30s, and it's agonizing when you're in your 40s and 50s to even think about doing something like that. So I think that I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I get to play music, which is really it's one of the best jobs in the world. You're just there to make people happy, singing and dancing, and you're not lifting heavy machinery, so you can imagine what you get to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To get in the mood. It's all fantastic. So
right.
I just want a fresh look for us and a fresh sound, and at the same time, I want people to know and remember and be honest. I want them to adore us. I want them to hold us close to their hearts. You can associate a song with a certain time in your own life, and so we get very personal with people, even though they don't know us. They feel very close to us, and all that goes into the planning of the next move, the next stage for us.
I appreciate you taking time out to chat today.
Okay, you're very welcome. I look forward to seeing you at New Year's in Atlantic City.
Okay, Perry, thanks so much.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.